Teams can now develop their own drivetrain, which will not only provide improved performance, but will give each of the cars their own unique sound.
This year's championship will be very exciting with these new technologies that have been developed by the various manufacturers. We have seen from the collective test that there are 8 different manufacturers and 8 different solutions.
The powertrain as defined by Formula E is an electric motor, otherwise known as the E-motor, and attached to it is the gearbox or the transmission. The drivetrain obviously demands electrical current to be able to power it, and the battery stores that energy. So that energy is then released to the powertrain, which then uses to drive the propulsion system.
For the first time in Formula E, the teams are allowed to change everything that is behind the battery. So basically the motor, the gearbox, and the rear suspension. And teams, they went into very diverse ways of doing this.
So some have last year powertrain and gearbox, some has a new gearbox with 1 less gear, so 4 gears, and some other one has only 1 gear, like our team, that deliver a lot of torque, obviously, to be able to have only 1 gear.
We've got 3 gears, so we are sort of in between. There's plenty of concepts. Some guys have 2 engines, we got 1 motor, so it's hard to tell.
So we reduce the gears. The idea behind that is that you don't need to shift, and every time you shift, you lose a little bit of time, and you stop the regeneration of the battery.
The system we have is a 1-gear solution, so we don't have any more gears up and down. It's a straightforward, sort of like a go-kart.
And the new gearbox, which is a fully sequential gearbox like last year, instead of being 5 gears, it's 4 gears now.
We have 1 less gear, so 4-gear gearbox. There's no drastic change in philosophy. There's really rather an evolution of what we had last year.
We've decided to stay with the same motor and gearbox because we believe it'll be competitive in the second year because the battery itself has stayed the same. I think people underestimate how much resource is required to develop a new technology. So we believe we'll have an advantage because we're using a package that we know.
There's a lot of solutions over here that are going to be preferable to some kind of tracks and some to others. You know, maybe we get to China and we're not the quickest, but we get to different kind of tracks where they're tighter, they're shorter, and we have more advantage, you know? I think that's the kind of thing we're going to see a little bit next season.
I think technology development is at the heart of Formula E. What we want is to be the framework for better technology for electric cars. So having already 8 different powertrains on Season 2 is great for the series, and it's great for our objective to improve the technology.
Fan Boost is changing for Season 2 of Formula E. The fundamental remains the same, but the way you can go about voting is going to change. It'll still open 12 days before the race, but now voting will stop 6 minutes into the race itself.